Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to shows every Thursday at 8:01 p.m. and full shows online at WCBE.org. I'm John DeSando.
I'm Johnny DiLoretto.
This is Cinema Classics.
Yep.
And you know, I need your help
Okay.
because I'm getting confused. A movie just opened called Joker, which neither one of us has seen.
Yet.
But maybe yet. But
Jeez, what is... Who's this Joker?
it's gotta be. Oh yeah. Big surprise. Barry. Recapping it last night.
Oh,
Because he was
recapping
there.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So, I think this is strategically a good move on our part. We can talk about the other Jokers as we prepare to see, and maybe even report back to our listener our impressions.
Want to discuss all the Jokers, all the folks who have played.
There are quite a few, right?
Yeah,
Eight or nine?
I don't know. Are they 8 or 9? You got it. I figured you would do the research.
Yeah. But there were only 2 or 3 major ones.
Yeah.
Including Jared Leto, right?
Well, it's interesting. One of the guys that's getting the most buzz for his performances of the Joker is this kid on television.
Oh.
On the show Gotham.
Oh.
And we'll relegate our conversation to cinematic Jokers only.
Yeah.
Okay, we can because Cesar Romero.
Oh,
who
the
was
TV. I know you got to say Cesar
right,
Romero.
Cesar Romero. You know, they did make a theatrical movie.
Yes, they
so
did.
So he counts. Cesar Romero's Joker counts.
So he's way back in the 60s.
Yeah,
he's
1966.
a clownish Joker.
Yeah, you know, he was, but he was also... I knew as a kid when I was watching that, this guy's... his switches flipped. Like, you know, like there was something intense about his facial expressions. And, you know, I do think at that age anyway, and for a show that was campy and silly, Cesar Romero's Joker was creepy. And, you know, and it was one of the things that I always was fascinated with him. His white makeup. He didn't shave his mustache.
Exactly, right over his mustache. He wouldn't allow them.
Yeah, that's great.
They put it over, I know.
Yeah, and you could see the mustache under there, and it always made me think, it gave me a glimpse into who the Joker might be without his makeup.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Well, he was more of a prankster than the others.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not so much the psycho murderer that it turns out as Joker evolves, right?
Right. Because I don't think there are any other Jokers between Romero and Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
So I think you get a 20-year
gap. Yeah, he's
gap.
1966.
Mm-hmm.
And then 89, right?
Yeah.
Is Jack Nicholson.
Right.
Who, to me, is the most endearing of them all.
Okay.
Okay.
Endearing?
Yes. Because it's so surreal. It's a black comedy.
Yeah.
And I get the comedic elements of Nicholson with that. Now you get to Heath Ledger and you're into very serious territory.
Well, yeah. Now hold on, because we gotta talk about this. Because in the comic books, I don't know. So in the Nicholson performance in Batman, they explain that smile. And that smile is a wound.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
now I don't know where that comes from in the comics.
No.
Because Cesar Romero's Joker was not wounded. He's just like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like this rictus.
Yeah,
you know, it's just he's just a crazy guy. Now you take Nicholson's psychosis one step further, and then you get Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I like this Nicholson is that we get to see him ahead of time as a kind of a gangster.
Yeah.
Before he's transformed.
Right.
And then he becomes really nasty and funny.
Yeah. But see, there's no fun. That's the missing part of that performance. Is you don't really get any. He's not a funny guy before.
Right.
He doesn't have a comedic sensibility that turns sociopathic.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I never understood the explanation.
Okay, so they didn't develop the character enough for us to see that.
Right.
He says of himself, which I have always loved, he considers himself the world's first fully functional homicidal artist.
Yeah, right. That's a great line. Yeah.
Isn't that a great line?
It's a great line. He has some great lines in that movie and some great moments. I put the onus for why that's not an entirely successful movie on Tim Burton's. I think Tim Burton was a young filmmaker at that point, young blockbuster filmmaker. suddenly has the greatest actor in the world, and
Yes.
he just can't. He just gives Nicholson scene after scene after scene. It oftentimes doesn't add up to anything.
No, I think you're absolutely right, because a lot of the success of that film and of Nicholson is coming out of his Jack Nicholson persona.
Yeah.
And just riffing on that,
Right.
rather than paying attention to the real character. So that's a great point. Yes, it is still Nicholson.
Yeah.
For me, it's not necessarily the Joker, it is Nicholson.
Yeah, right. And you take the camp of that movie,
Yes.
and then this one was, Burton's Batman was like the dark version, right?
Yes.
And then you get Christopher Nolan's really gritty Batman, sort of implanted in what appears to be the real world. And so Heath Ledger's Joker is he's really disturbing.
Yeah. He's
You know?
a psychopath, man. Right?
Yeah, for sure. And
Mass murderer?
and again, we have a wounded Joker, right?
Yeah.
And there's this great bit in The Dark Knight, a recurring bit where he goes to tell you, you know how I got this scar, and it's a different story every time, which is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Creates this mythology.
The guy has absolutely no empathy.
No, right.
He's, I mean, very dangerous
There's
guy.
anybody interested should look this up. There was an interesting article a while back about that. Do you remember the iconic scene where he murders the guy with the pencil? He stabs the pencil on the table, and he says, "I'm going to make the pencil disappear," and he takes the guy's head and jams it down in there. That was real. It was they actually had a pencil there, and the guy had to get the pencil out before it went into his eye. Today they would just do it with computers. Anyway.
Well, what I love the fact that this guy is so dangerous. He has a little flower lapel,
Mm-hmm.
and acid comes out of it.
Well, you're talking about Jack Nicholson.
Oh, Nicholson, right, yeah. That's right, I'm confusing him. And the other one, didn't Nicholson also do the bang?
Yeah, with the
Right.
thing that comes
Right,
on.
right. So that comedic side that Jack
Yeah.
Nicholson brought is not in Heath Ledger's at all.
Yeah, no, he's not.
And
His Joker is, well, he's an anarchist. So Joker for him, I think that character, that performance, is more about this whole existence is a joke. Any sort of imposition of rules or morality
Right,
is
right.
a cruel joke.
Yes.
And so that's how he approaches the philosophy of that character, not through necessarily humor.
Right, and so true, because his purpose is to upset the social order.
Mm-hmm.
But, imagine if he were to become the president of the United States.
Imagine that.
So, I mean, can you even
Wow,
visualize
you mean
what that would be like?
You're like a sociopath?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
Interesting.
Now, what about Jared Leto? I can't speak very authoritatively. This is in the Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, right? He got
3 years
He got
ago.
one shot at it. I don't think he'll be returning as the Joker. Jared Leto is a good actor. He's one of these guys that can disappear into some character, So I don't think it's necessarily a bad choice. I think he went in this different direction, like all Americans do, right? You get one thing. Americans just can't do something in the middle. They can't blend. They have to go the exact opposite. Speaking of elections, right?
Yeah.
And so Jared Leto's Joker turns out to be, again, not wounded, not scarred. So his
Okay.
Joker isn't. Is it a beautiful day in the neighborhood? We've been interrupted more times by your phone
I know.
this session.
Wouldn't you think that I would shut that off?
You would. You would.
I would think, but no.
Because you're gonna get another call any second. Interestingly enough, we go back to the unwounded Joker,
Okay.
and this version is a lot more garish, a lot more behaviorally demonstrative. He's also romantically involved with Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn.
That's not a bad choice.
No, that's a smart guy. But I don't know if the movie was bad. I think
Yes.
if the movie been good, he might have gotten away with it. But he's doing like a nightclub gangster, like a dance club. He looked like a dance club guy.
I think someone who was commenting on it said He was candy-colored nihilism.
Okay.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah, that's a good
Isn't that a
description.
good description?
But for some reason, it just didn't connect.
No.
Number one, I think he wasn't around Batman. It wasn't attached to the Batman.
That's
character.
right. Yeah.
And Christopher Nolan and Heath Ledger do such a good job of making sure that the Joker is the exact opposite balance of Batman's morality.
Yes. Yeah. Well, now, so we have Joaquin Phoenix
Yeah.
in Joker.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see it and report back on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think this, from what I see from the trailer, from what I've heard, this guy's a real psycho.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, this looks like, and we've mentioned this before, that they've taken Taxi Driver and King of Comedy,
yes.
and don't forget Scorsese was a producer on this movie, so
that's right.
he's
yeah.
overseeing
Yes.
the whole production. But Todd Phillips has mashed those two up into a completely comic book origin free story about how the Joker becomes the Joker.
Yeah. He failed with his audience as a comedian. So now
Yeah, and he looks like a dude who's abused by society, and he just gets mad and it goes nuts. He goes nuts. And apparently, early word is that Joaquin Phoenix is right up there with Heath Ledger.
Yeah, right. So we'll see.
Yeah,
And we may even report back.
we will.
All right.